Hi guys, it's David, and welcome to episode 22 of the Splat Report. Today we have a ton of news to get to. 4.0 or 4.1, lots of news on that, changes, and I'm going to be talking about the Tenta Brella and how it's gaining popularity over the last few weeks. So let's get right into it. Let's start with some news. First of all, Invitational. I think I'm saying this right. Kind of like Invitational, but with ink in front of it. Ink TV is putting this on. Not a whole lot of details on it. Kind of in secrecy. I think it's something big, though. They're saying triannual, so not something that they're doing very often. So kind of a major. Seems like it. It's going to happen the 13th and 14th. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. That seems like it's going to be a big event. They obviously have a really great production crew. You know, Black Spoon, Jordan, and the others really put on a really good show. So look forward to that. In weekly, though, coming out, Splashdown Saturdays. There's going to be a Saturday night weekly. Excuse me. 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So sorry, Europe, but could be something for Australia. Best of 3 groups, best of 5 quarters, and best of 7 semi and grand finals. I like this format. I think it's really cool. Something different than, BNS. But, it's sort of like, all right, groups is kind of best of 3, you get it done quickly. Then, as you're sort of building up to a bigger event, with the final, grand finals, semifinals being the best of 7. So hopefully that's going to be really good. It's Battlefy, no DC rules. The top cut is going to be streamed. And it's run by Lag and Squirt of Team Upgrade. So it's definitely people that have some tournament experience. I think it's going to be more of a tournament directed for high-level players. So look forward to that. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Definitely look forward to seeing that stream on Saturday night. Tenta Torneo is French, so don't blame me if I get that wrong. El Firmamente, or El Firmament, beat Alliance Rogue to win that. It's kind of a cool thing. It's they're long-standing rivals in the French scene. Alliance Rogue beat them before, so it's kind of back and forth. Alliance Rogue, I'm not sure who plays light on that team. A lot of really good French players, though. It's usually like Kiver, Urza, or Ezra. Sorry, no, I can never remember which one. Soren, that kind of stuff. It is, what I think is kind of important about that tournament is that it's run by Nintendo, but people kind of think of Nintendo as like just a sort of monolithic company. It's a lot of different companies do, well, not really like same company, but a lot of different groups. Like Nintendo France does a lot more Splatoon related stuff. Nintendo America not so much. UK, Nintendo UK puts on some tournaments too. So it is really cool to see what each country is doing, each Nintendo in their respective countries is doing. Another cool news, there was a LAN in Panama recently, Blitz, who's, if you're hanging out in Twitch streams, you're probably pretty familiar with Blitz. He hangs out there quite a bit. He was part of the group that won the first Panama LAN. Really cool to see these, LANs taking place in other countries. Little, smaller, lesser known places where you wouldn't think, there's a Splatoon scene, but turns out like anywhere there is Splatoon, there's a Splatoon scene of some sort there. So that's really cool. And in another, this is exciting too. Kraken Paradise. They won the Rising Squid qualifier, beating back Squids 3-1. They get the paid trip to Frankfurt, Germany. 1 night stay. This is going to be the first time showing up at a LAN. Really cool. Obviously they missed out on Inkstorm last time, so it's good to see them getting in there. This could be a big step, and part of them getting sponsored. It really seems like LANs is a big thing for sponsors. I'm not 100% sure why, but I guess it kind of makes sense. You want people to be able to like show off your team actually going to an event, playing. You get the photo ops, and obviously it is, I think, a bigger influence to see people in person, with the jerseys. It does add a lot of credibility to the team. All right, in September ranked, Lean has some cool stats like weapon usage per mode, top player per weapon. Look in the description or check out the Splat report. I'll have all that stuff linked. I think it's a lot of cool data that you'll find interesting. All right, 4.1. Let's get to some of these changes. We got the new weapons coming out. They have been revealed. It's the Luna with the Fizzy Bomb and Inkstorm. That could be a good combination. Some people said, Inkstorm not really like super aggressive special that so short range like Luna might like. Does add chip damage, potentially weaken people. The Fizzy Bomb seems really cool. I'll talk more about that later, but interesting. It might have potential. I think the big thing about Fizzy Bomb is it helps it move. It kind of adds a curling bomb-esque effect where it paints a line and allows you to move, potentially giving some more mobility. If it's surrounded by ink, you just throw it and get out of there. That's pretty cool. Splattershot Pro has the Splat Bomb and the new Booyah Bomb. I'm not sure how Booyah Bomb's going to fit into the game yet. It's kind of an odd special, but I think it does kind of lend itself more towards some longer range weapons. Dynamo with Sprinkler and Booyah Bomb. This one's getting a lot of hype. Obviously, Dynamo with Sprinkler and Echolocator was huge in Splatoon 1. If the Booyah Bomb can be used, in a team comp, this could potentially be a really good support weapon. Sloshing Machine, getting the Fizzy Bomb and Splashdown. People were kind of disappointed about the Splashdown on the Sloshing Machine. Obviously, Sloshing Machine, a very strong weapon. A lot of people say underrated too. So we'll see how Fizzy Bomb and Splashdown fit in. I'll talk more about Splashdown later. All right, so let's get into the past changes. Here's some of the biggest ones. I'm not going to go over everything. But 96 gal range increase. It did get some buffs. Could potentially be seeing play. I'm not 100% sure. I think the biggest problem 96 will have is, how does it fit in versus some of the other weapons that are really being used in the meta right now? Can it be like the armored version? Like, can it compete with the H3D? That's some of the questions to think about. Fling's got a buff range on its horizontal as far as doing 100% or doing 100 over 100 damage. You get that one shot splat. Not 100% sure how that's going to, if it's going to be enough. GooTuber again gets another buff. Minimal shot range increased by 27%. It is fairly long range. I don't know. It's really good at painting, but I don't know if it actually see any play. But hey, GooTuber buffs for those GooTuber faithful. It just keeps getting better and better. Nautilus, I think the velocity was increased on its shots. It does seem really good as far as taking targets out. I don't know if it's going to be enough to make it viable right now. You're not seeing basically any Splatlings. So we'll see how that works out. Splash Wall buff. They decrease the time you can actually start recovering ink. That is a cool special. Splash Wall is seeing some play, with the Fire Fin and blah blobber. So another buff just helps make those weapons even stronger. 10 missiles. They shorten the time between firing each missile. I'm still not seeing this used that often, but we'll see. Splashdown. I think this was a big buff to Splashdown. Probably considered one of the weakest specials in the game. This one's interesting because it loses the special gauge if you go up to Splashdown people and you get splatted. You only lose 25% instead of 50%. You just bubbles. The damage to bubbles, which I think might be the biggest change, does 10 times more damage to bubbles than it did before. So it is actually really good at destroying them. They reduce the points on several weapons. I think, if bubble weapons like Tenta Brella and Explosher, keep increasing in popularity, this could be, having a splashdown at the ready, if they're trying to take the zone, could be one way to counter that. I'm not 100% sure, but I wouldn't sleep on splashdown quite yet. We'll see how things work out, but I think that's a cool idea as like a legitimate counter to bubbles. Sometimes, as one person, you just can't do anything about bubbles. If someone's like going in, they're spamming them to try and recap the zone, having a splash down at the ready, boom, splash them down. Could be one way to stop that tactic. And chargers and dualies got a special increase almost pretty much across the board. I don't think they touched apples, but the big ones, the regular Splat charger, the Firefin, got a special increase. Emperies, dually squelchies, I believe. But that was it for the patch changes. Let's go on to the new weapon impressions. The Fizzy Bomb. It does 35 per burst indirect, which is most often you're going to get 50 for a direct. That seems like it's really hard to hit, but can be some extra damage if you're just tossing out. You can charge it faster by shaking the controller, your motion controls or your stick. I think jumping also increases it. So you can actually get the level 3 charge pretty quick. It's a bit annoying. It paints pretty solid line in front of where you're throwing, which basically gives the Fizzy Bomb some mobility options as well. That 3 burst does quite a bit of painting, more than any other bomb, in a single burst. So that's something too, if you're throwing into a zone. It seems like, it can just really like suppress an area. You just throw it out. It only uses, I think, 60%. So it's very feasible to be able to throw 2. With just a little bit of ink saver sub. I think it's 1 main, 3 subs, which I guess it isn't a little bit, but still, it's pretty spammable. So that's an interesting bomb. I think it could be really strong. I don't know if it's overpowered yet, but it has the potential to be. The Booyah Bomb. Basically, you charge it faster by booyahing, and if your teammates booyah, they help it charge faster, and they get a little bit of special points. Not huge, but it is something. Has a large area effect. It's very similar to Ink Strike, in my opinion, as far as it hits an area, spreads out, paints quite a bit. The difference between it and when I originally saw it, like, it almost seems like a bad Ink Strike because it's not, can't just target anywhere. The big thing about it, though, that I didn't realize is it has 500 armor when you use it. So that is an insane amount of armor. So if one person's trying to take you down, they're just not going to do it. It's just way too much to go through. You need like multiple people to take down a guy using a Booyah Bomb. Some people have said like could be used as a panic special. It could definitely be if there's just one guy on you and you're just in a bad spot. You could Booyah Bomb and hope someone comes and backs you up, or at that point the enemy player is like, shit, I can't take this guy out, or he doesn't want to waste all that time trying to take you out, so he just sort of like backs away. So it could be a way to save you and throw a special out. I like the design. In some ways, it's not like, it almost doesn't seem like a solo special. It's something you just use on your own and it's just good on its own. It's almost something that really needs some team play to work with. Has a large area effect. We'll see how it sort of fits in. It's only on 2 weapons, and that's one of the big things. It may not have found its best carrier yet in terms of weapon play. We'll see how things work out. I'm kind of on the fence. In my opinion, the effect just doesn't seem that overwhelming. But I'm hopeful that we shall see some use for it. All right, and the new map came out, Skipper Pavilion. It's a really cool looking map. There is some controversy over it. It is a mirrored map, similar to, let's say, Salt Spray Rig, which has led some people to complain that there is, peaking differences. If you're wondering, like, usually the maps are like this, where it's like, boom, sort of like one side's symmetrical with the other side. With a mirrored map, it's almost like this, where like they're mirrored, copies are just stuck on. And then when they do it like that, they sort of, since your weapon, the origin of your shots come from your right side where you're holding your weapon, it gives certain sides a different sort of like view, or, you know, the ability to sort of peek around a corner and shoot. And whatever side has that better vantage point has an advantage. And, you know, 99% of the people, it's not going to affect them at all. But for the people that are really playing at a high level, you know, where everything makes a difference, that does affect them. So it's kind of an interesting choice. May not be the, you know, the best one for high level competitive play. All right, let's get into my final subject, which we're talking about the Tenta Brella. This is, I think, is really cool. Originally, when it came out, people were like, well, this thing sucks. It is really hard to use. But lately, we've been seeing it in the final round of some Japanese Splat Zones tournaments, you know, which was something like Tentacle Cup, and recently the Rishan Cup. Richan. It's Japanese, sorry. We have been seeing it in Clamblitz before. That was nothing new, but to see it sort of showing up in Splat Zone tournaments is something new. And it kind of shows that as the ability to be used in a larger game mode variety. Wadzum has been using it a lot recently. Says it's, you know, can be used in high level play. It's definitely something to watch. Sendu has been using it too. So it's really strong. It's just incredibly hard to use, which is 100% true, especially for a lot of these really slow firing weapons. Like if you miss or you can't get damage on somebody, it puts you in a really bad spot. And Fuzzy, another really strong Western player, has really wanted to use it and experiment with it in some comps with the Explosher. These are all really strong weapons that use bubbles, like I was saying, Splashdown. I had more use against it, but this is definitely something to watch, and it's really cool to see the meta developing on something that, you know, hasn't really gotten buffed that much recently. It's just as plays evolved, we could be seeing, you know, Inkjet becoming a little less popular, or, you know, who knows how the nerfs are going to affect it quite yet. It's only been out for a day or two, so it is very, very interesting to see, and Tenta Brella could be something to watch or potentially look as a main. We'll see how things work out. All right, now we're getting on to viewer comments. This was actually not from a Splat report. It's from an older video of mine on the death of forums. Oh, just a quick FYI, if you leave a comment on the video, I will discuss it in the next video. So if you want to have a conversation with me, be sure to leave a comment. Normally I don't do it on the older videos, but I thought this was cool, so I'm going to read it. Give me 1 second, I need a drink. Talking for 17 minutes makes you thirsty. This is from ViewBob on my Death of Forums video. I think that there's one thing we're losing with forums, not even with gaming, but I find forums are more detached in a way. With social media and Discord, there's this feeling that if you're gone for 6 hours, you'll miss out on stuff. But with forums, leaving you 6 hours is a common thing. Maybe that's just my experience with them, though. I think that's 100% true. 100%. Social media has become almost an addiction. And I think with forums, you don't have that instant sort of like dopamine surge, or it's not quite as big. And that's one of the other things that I'm really worried about with things like Twitter. I don't know if Discord it says much because you don't get like the likes, or I mean you can have like people can have like emoji reactions, but that's usually mostly to troll or be funny. But yeah, with social media is a lot more addicting than forums. I did spend a lot of time on forums when I was in college, but I definitely think that is something as well, where it's just almost an addiction. I know you almost have to sort of be on it, stay on it. You get, like I said, the dopamine. Forums is definitely more detached. And I also think, with social media, it does become more emotional too, which doesn't always lead to a very good conversation. I think overall social media is just really terrible for civil discourse in general. So Thank you for your comment, ViewBot. I appreciate it. And that is it for the Splat Report, episode 22. Thank you very much. Please be sure to check out splatreport.com. If you want to stay updated, I've been updating that website now. It has like basically everything that I've discussed. If you want, sort of news in just a compact format where you can scroll through and check things out. Maybe you missed something cool that you wouldn't normally get on Twitter or Discord. Things scroll it everywhere. Check it out there. Like, subscribe. Check my Twitter out. I'll link that in the description. And that is it, guys. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you later.